The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders, and joining me again this evening is Jimmy. Jim, thanks for coming on the air with me.
Not a problem. I love doing it.
Got a lot to talk about this evening, and part of it's actually going to be a carryover from last week. Megan Rapinoe managed to get herself back in the news with more controversy again over the weekend. This time has to do with a video that surfaced of some event she was at. Not sure what kind of event it was. But a young child walked up to her with a small soccer ball, asking her for an autograph. And at no time, this really shows what kind of individual she is. At no time did she ever make eye contact with this young fan asking her for an autograph. It really, it really shows the kind of piece of shit that she really is. So yeah, Piers Morgan has called her out, called her an arrogant piece of work over social media after sharing the video and everything. I've met, thanks to the military, I've met a lot of celebrities in my lifetime, and every single one of them that I met, with the exception of one, and I'm not gonna say who, but everyone that I've met, with the exception of one, they were all very humble and down-to-earth individuals. None of them had their head up in the clouds. They didn't see themselves as, I'm a higher status than you are because I'm a television actor or I'm a film actor or a musician. None of them, I met Steve Zahn, my second deployment in Iraq, and he was probably one of the most down-to-earth individuals, celebrity-wise, that I've ever met. Cool guy. Just standing around, talking with us. Got a big lip of dip in his mouth, and, just one of the guys. So it really shows what kind of piece of work this woman really is. And between the disrespect for the flag, the disrespect for the president, and then this individual, to me, is just, she's the lowest form of life on earth that I can imagine. Now, have you had the opportunity to see the video yet, Jimmy?
No, I haven't.
It's really appalling. It's a 7-second video, but in 7 seconds, she manages to show you how big of a piece of shit she really is. It's really impressive, actually, that she was able to do it in that amount of time.
The first time I seen her on the news, I didn't like her. It ain't because she's gay. It's just she is an asshole.
She is, and I'm trying to figure out what kind of event this is that she's at. She's got this wicked, like, purplish pink hair going on. She's wearing what appears to be a suit jacket and nothing underneath it. Like, you can very clearly see her cleavage, which is, nothing impressive, really. Right. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of event this is that she's dressed like this. I mean, it's embarrassing more than anything. And I feel bad.
Transgender?
No, she's not a transgender. But she is very open about her lesbian sexuality and everything. To my knowledge, she's a lesbian. I'm going to say that. That's the story that I've heard. I've not done any research into her sexual activities or anything, and I don't care to know about it. So,
yeah, well, she dresses the part. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, more than anything, I feel sorry for the kid. There was Dunn, former professional soccer player, was quoted as saying, "The more I see her, the more I like her. The kid should have volleyed it right back in her grid." Another person added, "The one kid in America who doesn't think that game sucks, and she acts like a stereotypical movie star from an 80s movie in front of him." You know, the whole thing, she's showing her true colors, plain and simple.
Yeah, and they don't draw that much money. You think she would be more attentive to a fan.
Well, I don't think money has anything to do with it.
Well, they don't bring in as much as men's soccer. That's why they get paid less.
Well, you know, I'm pretty sure women's soccer also has less of a following too, which is why it would bring in less money.
Right, that's what.
But again, I don't think money has anything. I don't think money has anything to do with it. You know, I've met several very successful celebrities. I met Chuck Norris during my first appointment, and one of the most humble individuals I've ever met. So I don't think money really has anything to do with it. You know, I'm from Fort Payne, Alabama, the home of the country music band Alabama, and they're some of the most down-to-earth guys you'll ever meet. I mean, I've actually seen the bass player, Teddy Gentry, actually get on stage and sit in and play with local musicians in the area. So I really don't think money has anything to do with it. I just think it's people who think that they're better than others. So, but I'm not gonna give her any more publicity than what's absolutely necessary. We're gonna move on to another topic because I actually am looking forward to talking about this one. And I'm sure you've seen the video of this, the U.S. Coast Guard video showing the Coast Guard member jumping onto the submarine.
No, I didn't see it.
The Coast Guard actually finally has a cool story to tell. And of course I'm kidding about that.
Oh, is this the submarine with all the coke?
Yes.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
Okay, so the video, it's about a minute long video that the Coast Guard released, and it shows members of the Coast Guard cutter Monroe chasing after a drug sub in the East Pacific, and it's carrying about 17,000 pounds of cocaine, according to the report. And the video starts off showing one boat chasing after the sub and a service member on the boat shouting orders in Spanish, telling them to stop. And then it cuts over to video on another boat, shows the Coast Guard member jumping onto the submarine and then walking up and banging on the hatch. And finally getting the hatch open, detaining the individuals. Like I said, 17,000 pounds of cocaine. I've yet to find an article that identifies who the Coast Guard member is that jumped on the submarine, and I assume for obvious reasons. Classified information as far as not wanting cartel members to know who he is to take him out or anything like that would be my guess.
Makes sense.
But yeah, it's a very exciting video to watch. Which is why I made the joke. You know, the Coast Guard finally has a cool story to tell people. But you know, hey, good on them. They're out there. They're working hard. They're doing their job. And according to a report, and I'm sitting here reading this off of CNN right now, the Coast Guard only catches 11% of drug-filled semi-submersible vessels, which is what this vessel was. It was not a true submarine, according to the report, but it is designed to be somewhat submerged, and then the portion that's not is painted blue to match the water to make it harder to detect from the air. And then it's also designed to be scuttled in the event that the Coast Guard does start chasing after them. So all of the evidence is destroyed, and then, according to the report, these individuals in these submersibles know the Coast Guard is not going to let them drown, so they intentionally sink these vessels to destroy all the evidence and then allow themselves to be captured.
It's a smart way. Lose a lot of money.
The smart thing would... Oh, yeah, lose a shit ton of money. Because, I think I read in one report, 17,000 pounds of coke, and then there was also a few hundred pounds of marijuana on board, I believe.
That was for the crew.
Right. I think they said it added up to something like $500 million in estimated street value around in there.
Taking a big chance.
Oh, a very big chance, absolutely. So, the 5 individuals that were in the submersible have been detained and sent to the DEA for prosecution. But I mean, that's according to the report, the Coast Guard patrolling the Eastern Pacific, which is where this happened. It's roughly the size of the United States that the Coast Guard is patrolling out on the water in the Eastern Pacific. And they said it's comparable to 2 police cars patrolling the entire United States. That's how big the area is with the manpower that they have to do it with. That's why they're only able to... You can imagine
the stuff getting through.
Exactly. That's why they're only able to capture about 11% of these submersibles, because you've got such a large area that you have to cover with such little manpower. You know, a lot of the vessels that the Coast Guard has are ancient, for lack of a better term. They require a lot of maintenance and upkeep, and it's real hard. And, you know, also when you factor in, fuel costs and all that other stuff, it's just really difficult to have the manpower and the resources to patrol that large of an area. I mean, I'm trying to find who the individual was. Lieutenant Commander Stephen Brickey of the U.S. Coast Guard was the one who gave the report. And like he said, the Coast Guard is tasked with patrolling the area with the equivalent of 2 police cars, an area the size of the entire U.S. with 2 vessels. And that's sad.
Yeah, because we've got a hell of a lot of Coast Guard ships. I don't understand it.
Well, like I said, a lot of the Coast Guard the Coast Guard doesn't get as much funding as the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the Marine Corps.
Still Department of Defense.
Well, actually, no. It's changed. It's changed so many times. I don't know who they're a department of now, but last I heard, they no longer fall under. Their Department of Homeland Security. The last I heard, they no longer. And actually, according to what I've read today, the Coast Guard never actually fell under Department of Defense unless they were unless they were serving in a naval capacity, assisting the Navy, something along those lines. But actually, when the Coast Guard was first started, according to what I read, they actually fell under the Department of Transportation, which is something I didn't know. That was a new thing that I learned today. But yeah, last I had heard, the Coast Guard falls under Department of Homeland Security now, and I'm appalled at the fact that they're not. Which I get. You know, it takes, and I'm just going to throw a random number out there. You know, $5 billion. Again, this is just a random number. I don't know what the actual cost is, but $5 billion to build a Coast Guard cutter. And
one cutter?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just throwing the number out there. I don't know what the exact number. I'm actually
more
going to
like 500 million, not 500 billion.
Well, no, I said 5 billion, not 500 billion.
Even 5 billion, that's a lot of planes. That could do aerials. I can't think of the word. But they can look up from above and catch more of them.
Right. Okay, so I'm actually pulling up a report right now. Report to Congress, U.S. Coast Guard cutter procurement. Okay, so the Coast Guard program of record calls for procuring 8 national security cutters, 25 offshore patrol cutters, and 58 fast response cutters. And let's see here. The page will quit jumping around, but there we go. As replacement for 90 aging Coast Guard high-endurance cutters, medium-endurance cutters, and patrol craft. The Coast Guard's proposed fiscal year 2020 budget requests a total of $657 million in procurement funding for the NSC, OPC, and FRC programs.
So the $670 million's a few cutters, I take it.
Yeah. It says NSCs, the National Security Cutters, have an estimated average procurement cost of about $670 million per ship.
Really?
Yes.
That's an awful lot for a ship.
Well, I mean, when you think about all the technology that goes into it, see, I was thinking building one of those cutters, like I said, was going to be in the billions of dollars. So apparently I'm never going to be on The Price is Right because I bid way too high.
Yeah.
But yeah, about for and they're wanting 8 of those national security cutters, so $670 million times 8.
Right, that's a shitload. That's like Trump $1.5 billion. Oh no, $1.5 trillion for the Defense Department.
Yeah. But yeah, and like you said, when you factor in all the aerial reconnaissance,
this year.
Yeah. And like you said, when you factor in the cost of things like aerial reconnaissance and things like that, that's just, it's appalling that we're not putting more effort into securing our borders like we need to. And it's not just the southern border on land with Mexico, it's our sea borders too.
Right, where a lot of people are coming in, I'll guarantee you.
Exactly. So, but hey, again, good on the Coast Guard. If any of you out there listening are coasties, good on you guys. Keep up the good work. We really do appreciate it. So, but yeah, we're going to move on to the next topic here. This is so fucking stupid. So I'm sure you've heard all about this Storm Area 51 thing. You've seen the memes on Facebook. Yeah, Storm Area 51.
That ain't Area 51 in New Mexico, is it?
Yes, or Nevada, wherever it's at.
I thought it was New Mexico, but is it Area 51?
Well, you're
the
thinking,
aliens were landed or crashed.
Yeah, you're thinking of the supposed spaceship crash in Roswell, New Mexico. But yeah, Area 51 is Area 51 is the top secret base located in Nevada.
Oh, okay.
And there has been, which this started out as an internet joke, and now it's turning into a real thing. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it is turning into a real thing. There, as of today, there is a petition going around that has received over 1 million signatures of people who want to storm and invade Area 51 in an effort to expose all of the secrets about extraterrestrial life and UFOs and all this. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't believe I'm even talking about this. I really did not want to give this publicity, but here I am, because I'm appalled at how stupid this is. You know, first and foremost, you're talking about storming one of the most secured bases in the country. And then, not only that, it's in the middle of a desert. If you were going to do it, it's an open desert. There's no real cover to speak of. So, you've got, let's just say a quarter of the people that have signed this actually show up to do this. 250,000 people. You have 250,000 people who are going to come charging at this base in the wide open desert. It's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. And I almost guarantee that the guards at Area 51 will not hesitate to pull the trigger. As a matter of article today about a man recently who was actually shot and killed because I guess he got too close to the base while he was trying to see if there was any, extraterrestrial life in the area. He was UFO hunting or something, and I guess he got too close to the base and they shot and killed him. So they don't fuck around out there. But the military is actually monitoring this situation. And they have even released a statement that says they are highly discouraging anybody from trying to do this. That is from somebody who has served in the military. I can tell you that is a politically correct way of saying, if you do this, you're going to die. But what the fuck is wrong with people nowadays? First and foremost, let's just say, for argument's sake, there are aliens and UFOs at Area 51. And the truth comes out, okay? Then what?
Yeah, there'd be a bunch of more movies, and somebody would get rich off of it.
What are you going to do with that information? There's aliens, there's UFOs, okay? And this is going to help you working in a vape shop how? Because that's what a lot of... And the funny thing is, celebrities are even getting in on this thing. Neil Patrick Harris shared a photo of himself, and he put a caption on the photo that says, "My expertise is communicating with aliens through brainwaves," a throwback to his character from Starship Troopers.
I never saw it.
I'm trying to think who all else is. Betty White is getting in on it. Betty White is getting in on this Area 51 thing. Dwayne Johnson, Chuck Norris, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, I don't know. Like I said, it started out as a joke, and it's very quickly turning into something real that is going to get a lot of people hurt, I'm afraid. Even if it's not done by the military. A lot of people are still going to end up getting hurt over this. whether it's physically hurt or emotionally hurt, whatever the case may be. And the funny part about this, and I know you're not going to get this reference, Jimmy, because I even had to look up what this was. But according to and there's actually even a web page for this. According to the events page, the plan is to, quote, Naruto run toward the facility so the group can, quote, move faster than their bullets.
Yeah, that's a fantasy.
Now, I actually had to look up what the hell a Naruto run is, because I'd never heard of it. And apparently it's a sprinting style, a reference to Naruto Uzumaki, a Japanese anime character who runs with his chest pointing forward and his arms jutting straight back behind him. And I'm trying, like, I want to know who wrote this more than anything, because this has got to be somebody who is like a comedy sketch writer or something like that. I'm losing faith in humanity is what's happening. But there has been some good to come of this. There's a little place. It's the closest hotel in whatever you want to call it, to the runway at Area 51. And it's called Little Alien. And the owner of the hotel, or co-owner, she says, as of right now, the date for this event, September 20th, all 10 of her rooms are booked. And she said she also has about 30 acres of land that rents out plots on for $15 a night for campers to set up tents on. She said so far about 60 people have committed to renting a campsite out there to set up a tent for the day of the event. That's the other stupid thing about this. You're wanting to charge a military institution.
I told you somebody would make money off of it.
Oh, yeah. And again, good honor for, that's capitalism at its finest right there. But this is the other thing too. You're talking about charging one of the most secure military installations in the country, and you're actually telling them when you're going to do it. I'm sorry, but I always learned that the key to a good, successful attack is your enemy not knowing when it's going to happen.
Element of surprise.
You catch them. Yeah, element of surprise. You catch them off guard, and they're flustered and don't know what to do. But instead, now it's, hey, September 20th. Okay. We'll be ready. We'll have our A-10s in the air.
Yeah, you know how many drones are going to be around?
I wonder how many UFOs will be around. That's the question. Like, I wonder, I can't help but wonder, maybe there are aliens and they're seeing everything that's happening, and, they're sitting up there in their spaceships going, watch this shit. This is going to be funny. We're going to show up for this just to see it happen. I cannot believe this thing has spread as much as it has. I really, honest to God, truly thought I was giving society the benefit of the doubt, and I was wrong. So shame on me. I will go haze myself later. But this is just embarrassing, is what it is. More than anything, I want to get your take on this, Jimmy.
On the Area 51, I'm not much of an alien fan, but I got a feeling they had something. Why would there be so many people interested?
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
Bullshit story that eventually fades out, and you know what I mean. Then word gets around. Yeah, I went in. There was nothing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about it. Area 51, regardless of whether they have UFOs, alien life, anything like that, Area 51 has always been a testing facility for new top secret equipment from let's see here. I'll read this paragraph right here. It says conspiracy theorists have obsessed over Area 51 for decades. The US government is hiding aliens and crashed UFOs at the site. In 2013, the CIA released a classified 1992 report in which the federal government acknowledged that spy planes were tested there. Officials also admitted that Area 51, the place where many sci-fi stories have been based, is a real-life government facility. So they have tested all kinds of top-secret aircraft there. I'm trying to remember. It was the B-2 reconnaissance plane, I want to say. And a lot of people classified it as a UFO because it was a top-secret airplane. It was a new design for an airplane. Nobody had ever seen one, knew what the hell it was, and it fit the description of a UFO. Not a flying saucer or anything like that, but what an actual UFO stands for, an unidentified flying object. That's exactly what it was. It was because that's exactly what it was. An unidentified flying object. It had never been seen before, except by those who had knowledge of it. And anybody outside of the base, other than the designers at Lockheed, I think is who designed it, had no idea what it was. And rightfully so.
That reminds me of the, did you see the video there of the pilots? I don't know what they were flying, but they were videoing it, and they had an unidentified object that moved faster than any machine we could make. I got it on video.
I've seen several videos, cockpit videos, both from military and commercial pilots, showing.
No, this was military.
Yeah, and like I said, I've seen all kinds of different. There's all kinds of videos out like that, military and commercial, showing. Like I said, showing some sort of UFO in the air, moving faster than any known man-made aircraft on the planet. And I'll be the first one to admit, I believe in the paranormal. I believe in the possibility of the existence of extraterrestrial life. The way things are going right now, I can't imagine why in God's name they would want to visit us. Except maybe to
because we
give us a hand with
other than microscope.
Microorganisms.
That's it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I've actually been watching a lot of shows on Netflix here lately about, black holes, the Voyager satellite that we sent up, back in the 70s?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, the first Voyager satellite that, last I heard, it was actually outside the known boundaries of our solar system. It was like billions of light years away.
It finally made it to the end of our solar system, you mean?
Yeah, it happened last year, I want to say it was.
So it took 50 years to get beyond Pluto?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really. So, and I think they said it's moving at a rate of like 11 miles a second. So that gives you an idea of how expansive our solar system is, that it took that long. What, 40, 50? Yeah, like you said, 40, 50 years, something along those lines. moving at 11 miles a second, it took that long to reach the end of our known solar system. So, like I said, I believe in the possibility of the existence of extraterrestrial life. Of course, I don't believe it's like Hollywood has predicted, the little green men with the skinny bodies and the giant heads, or humanoid figures with pointy elf-like ears walking around saying live long and prosper. I don't think it's anything like that.
That's just fantasies from the producers that made those, or the writers.
Precisely. Movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, stuff like the typical Hollywood depiction of what alien life forms would look like. And I don't believe that. Plain and simple.
What gets it, the people that have said they've been up in spaceships, they got abducted. All the people, when they describe them, they all describe the same thing, and that's why at Close Encounters, that's what they described.
Right. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Close Encounters came out, late 70s, early 80s, something like that.
70s, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do, when you look at when all of these abduction stories were really becoming popular, I'd say it was probably 1 in 1,000 had an abduction event of some kind, some sort of close encounter event. Those individuals in their childhood, they were children back in the 40s and 50s during the heyday of science fiction comics. And I've looked at some of those old science fiction comics from those days, and that's how a lot of that's how a lot of the alien life forms were drawn. Big heads, skinny bodies, gray, green, big black eyes. And really and truly, I think it was just some people with mental issues who had repressed memories, and that's how it came out. They had some sort of psychotic episode where they envisioned this happening, and that's what they saw. I could be wrong. I don't know. That's my opinion on the matter. But yes, I do wholeheartedly believe in the possible existence of extraterrestrial life forms of some kind. I just don't think, like I said, it's the way Hollywood.
There has to be life somewhere else. They may not have gotten here and we ain't got to them, but eventually we will.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that's my take on that. If you're listening and you think it's a good idea to try and storm Area 51 or any military base for that matter, don't. You're gonna have a bad time. So, I've said my piece on that. We're gonna get on to the last topic. This is, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I've not said her name on the show in a while, but I have to for this one. Thomas Homan, former director of ICE, was on the 12th testifying before a House committee. And it really upset me the way some of the House Democrats were attacking him over a memo that he signed and advised several different options for border security. But the one thing he recommended out of all of these options was zero tolerance, which included the separation of children from their families at these detention centers at the border. And AOC was grilling him hardcore. There was another Democrat whose name I didn't catch when I saw the video, was grilling him hardcore over all this stuff. Now, the man was put in charge of the agency that's responsible for protecting our borders. And now he's being demonized for doing exactly that. And I'm appalled. I can understand AOC because she's a complete fucking jackass and has no idea what she's talking about. She's asking him about separating children from their families, and his response was very simple. He worked in law enforcement for several years as a New York police officer, and the example he gave, if I'm stopped for a DUI and I have a child in the vehicle with me, I'm going to be separated. That child is going to be taken away from me. I'm going to be separated from that child when I am arrested. If I go into a house for a domestic abuse response, the children are going to be separated from the parents if the parents are arrested. The kids don't go with them to jail.
Yeah, I know. They want special rights for illegals. Don't separate the families. That's Nancy Pelosi's slogan.
Is a method, and he even said this in his testimony. There is a proper method for coming in to this country requesting asylum as a refugee. And if you don't follow that protocol, you have broken the law and you will be detained. That's why you are known as an illegal alien or an illegal immigrant, whatever term you want to use for it. The key word there is illegal. You have broken the law, plain and simple. And the way they are treating him for doing his job, for doing what he was supposed to do. And I love his response. The man straight up refused to take shit from any of them. And he even came out and publicly made the comment that the one Democrat who was questioning him, that I can't remember his name, he even came out and made the comment that while he was sitting there, he was considering beating the shit out of this guy. I'm paraphrasing, but he did say he considered beating this guy. And I don't blame him. The video that I saw of this guy grilling him, first and foremost, I don't even think that this Democratic representative that was questioning him, I don't even think this was his line of questioning. I think he just had somebody wrote these down. Because you watch the video, it's plain to see that all he's doing is reading off of a list, and he's not giving Mr. Homan the opportunity to respond to any of these questions. He rattles off like 6 or 7 questions without giving him the opportunity to respond to any of them. And then when Mr. Homan tries to respond, the very first thing he says, and I'm going to try and get the quote right because I don't have it in front of me, but the very first thing he says to him is, "Your comments are flat out disgusting. Your line of questioning is flat out disgusting. It's appalling." And, I truthfully, I'd never followed anybody from ICE and what they did, because I never really, I never really cared more than anything about it. But after seeing the way this guy handled himself in front of Congress during this testimony. I want to get to know this guy better and figure out why he's no longer the director of ICE.
He was acting director of ICE.
Okay, he was acting director. Okay.
So, and then somebody assigned somebody else. I forget the guy's name.
Okay. So, this article from Fox News, Tom Homan makes the comment that Democrats are lying to the American people about ICE and immigration. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And what really upsets me is what makes these people better than me? Why are they entitled to free health care, free housing, all this other shit, and I still have to go out and bust my ass and work for it?
The Dems want everybody to pour into the U.S. Like I said, it's just not Spanish anymore. Now we got Africa. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. They think they're getting
regardless of who it is. Yeah, regardless of who it is, I don't care. I don't care who's pouring into this country. They're still coming in here illegally. But whether they're here legally or illegally, what makes these individuals better than me or you?
Why they got rights is beyond me. You know what I mean? We got inalienable rights, which means the aliens don't have them.
So we are very quickly, as I've said on this show before, we are very quickly moving ourselves into another civil war. And this is not going to be North versus South. This is not going to be over states' rights and slavery and whatever you want to call it. This is going to be plain and simple, politically charged. It's going to be gays have rights, LGBTQ has rights. They're human, just like I am. But
they got the right to
while they have rights, they have the exact same rights that I have the rights to, that you have the rights to. Right. They should not get special privilege and special rights.
Exactly.
That is where everybody is getting misconstrued on this concept. Just because you're exactly
the latest pet project you're homosexual, is the transgenders.
Yeah. Just because you're homosexual, just because you're transgender, just because you're black, Mexican, Japanese, white, it doesn't matter. You do not have more rights than I have. You are not entitled to more rights than I am or than you are because of your skin color, because of sexual orientation, because of whatever mindset you use, whatever gender you are still a human. And you have rights as I do. No more, no less. Plain and simple. And if you think you're entitled to more rights because of your status or sexual orientation, anything like that, you're sorely mistaken. And you need to wake up and snap back to reality. Your thoughts, Jimmy?
I was looking up the word inalienable. It says unable to be taken away from or given away by the possessor. freedom of religion, the most inalienable of all human rights. And then it says synonyms: unchallengeable, unassailable, absolute, inviolable, and sacrosanct.
Yeah. So, inalienable rights that cannot be taken away from you. First and foremost, if it can be taken away from you, it's not a right, it's a privilege.
Right. Like a driver's license.
Exactly. Which is why I can't for the life of me, and as much as I love the Second Amendment, as much as I love being able to possess and purchase firearms, work on firearms, shoot firearms, anything involving firearms, I love it. I love guns. Not because I'm from Alabama, but because I love it. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter where in the country I'm from. I love guns. Plain and simple. I do not think Trey Gowdy was questioning somebody in a Senate committee hearing, and it was over individuals who get placed on a no-fly list. If you're placed on a no-fly list, you immediately lose your Second Amendment right. You cannot purchase or own a firearm until your name is taken off of the no-fly list. And you have to jump through so many hoops to do that. But Trey Gowdy was questioning her about this. Why is it the Second Amendment gets treated this way and not any other amendment to the Constitution?
Why is it you can't say nothing when you get in front of a plane or something? You know what I mean? You freedom of speech.
You know, if you're put on a no-fly list, and he asked her this, why is it the Second Amendment is chilled as no other right when you're put on a no-fly list? Why aren't you? How about we look at it like this? You're put on the no-fly list. You are not allowed to go to church or purchase or own a newspaper, anything like that, until your name is taken off the list. What other right gets treated the same way as the Second Amendment? So it's a gray area there because, again, if it can be taken away, it's not a right, it's a privilege. However, in the wording of the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Infringed. That's the key word.
Yes. So, again, it's a gray area because if somebody is convicted of murder or convicted of armed robbery, I don't think they should be able to own a firearm. If you're convicted of molesting a child, I don't think you should be able to own a firearm.
But they don't think anybody with a felony should have a firearm. The only problem is 90% of your fucking crimes are felonies.
Again, it's a gray area, and it's one of those.
It's supposed to be uninfringed. There should be a time limit. You know what I mean? I got felonies of mine, but that was back in the 20s. I'm 60-something and still can't get a firearm.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. You can apply to have your Second Amendment rights restored based on, and we won't get into your background or anything like that. But I am saying you can apply to have your Second Amendment rights restored even with the felony, depending upon what felonies they are and how your life has gone since then. Everybody makes mistakes. Some make mistakes worse than others. But there is an avenue there to have your Second Amendment rights restored, provided you want to jump through all the hoops and meet the criteria for it.
Right, and that's so get your record expunged, and that costs money.
Exactly. It costs money. It takes time. It takes a shit ton of effort. And a lot of people get discouraged from doing it. But yeah, exactly. If it can be taken away, it's not a right, it's a privilege. So it's also, again, the only right that really gets taken away. None of your other rights get taken. What is the Eighth Amendment? I think.
Cruel and unusual.
Protection from cruel and unusual punishment. You know, if you're put on a no-fly list, we're going to subject you to cruel and unusual punishment until your name is taken off the list. Or the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. The Fourth Amendment, I think is what it is. The right to a fair and speedy trial.
Is that the fourth? What's the...
I know the Fifth Amendment is protection from self-incrimination.
Yeah.
Fourth might be search and seizure.
I thought it was. I don't know what 6 is. I don't remember.
Yes, you're right. The Fourth Amendment is the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
It's right in the Constitution, huh? Or the amendment.
Yeah. Yes, Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. The state and district where the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed by the nature of cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against them, to have compulsory process, blah, 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 blah. Alrighty, so shout out to all the troops out there. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. Keep up the good work and everything you do. We appreciate it. Come home safe. Thanks for listening. This has been Daniel Sanders and Jimmy on Two Beards Talking. Thanks for listening, guys.